Hello, I'm Leanne Spearing of St. Faustina Shrine of the Divine Mercy in Bartlett, Tennessee, and I'm here with Peter Zaleski to talk about experiencing Jesus in our everyday life. Hi, Peter.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, doing really good.
Great. Thanks for being with us this evening.
Happy to be here, really happy to be here.
Good. So could you start by telling our audience and a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Peter Zaleski. I am a parishioner of St. Anne's in Bartlett. Divine Mercy Shrine is located. I grew up in Bartlett. I'm actually to be wed in a couple months, which is really exciting for me.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I work in retail, and I'm 22 years old.
Okay.
And then I attended university in Memphis for a few years, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And your family's still here in...
Yep, Ebony's located here in Bartlett,
Okay.
or in Memphis, around Bartlett, so.
Excellent. Very good. So, Peter, for our conversation this evening, when we're talking about experiencing Jesus, I was wondering if you could give an example of when you have experienced Jesus in your everyday life, recently.
Recently? I mean, there's always the small experiences as you go out throughout your day. Small reminders, small times that you just kind of encounter him, just for a minute or two.
What's that look like?
Well, that looks like just a reminder. There's times that he reminds me he's with me, and there's times that I strive to remind myself that he's with me. There's little things that I think all of us can do throughout the day just to refocus our attention back to God. Some things that I do is, it kind of ties into my testimony and how God acted in my life to get me out of a bad place into a good place. But I have numbers on the clock, and if I see these numbers, I turn my attention to God, and I just try to think of Him at that moment, even if it's just for a split second. So those are the small things. Some of the bigger things that actually play out once I go after those small things, or I just listen to Him after He kind of acts towards me.
So let me focus on that idea of a clock for a minute.
Yeah.
So I've heard of 3 o'clock being the hour of mercy.
Yes.
Because in the Bible it says essentially that Jesus passed away on the cross, died at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So is that an example of a kind of using the clock and the time of the day to kind of recenter yourself?
That is a really great example. It is a great example because at 3 o'clock, I mean, we can always refocus and know it's a holy hour,
Okay.
But for me, it's more or less kind of one of my focus times is like whenever I see the number 22. So if I see it like on a license plate, or if I see it on a clock, or if I see it on something like that, it's not the most normal thing, but I absolutely love doing it just because it refocused me. I feel like every now and then that car pulls right out in front of me and has that number right at the right time. I'm like, okay, God, you're right, I got this.
Just when you're about to floor it through a red light.
Exactly, right, yeah. So, yeah.
Keeps you honest.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right. So, I mean, that actually is a really great example of some time that God just worked through me. I actually saw the number 22 on the back of a car one time when I got an invitation to go to a friend's house. I got this invitation to go a couple hours earlier and my phone died. I really felt like God was tugging at my heart to go.
Okay.
So I felt like for a while before I saw that number that He was tugging on me to, act, to do something. So once I saw it, His name popped up in my head, and I knew it wasn't a thought that I kind of put there. I thought it was a thought He put there. So I went to His house. It's like at 10 o'clock at night. He has no idea I'm coming. So eventually I get to His house, and I'm thinking, oh, this is so silly. I don't know why I'm showing up. But anyway, I was like, I think God wants this. So I just acted encouraged, and I walked up to His front door and knocked on the door, and He's like, hey man, what's up? What you doing here? And I was like, oh, I just kind of felt like God was calling me to be here. And turns out it was at the right moment. He was struggling with chastity. He was struggling at that time, and he just offered up some prayer for like some relief. And as he was like about to go to bed and about to lay down and possibly be tempted, I knocked on the front door while I was walking down the hallway to his room. So it's just so cool. And he says, like, that stopped him. He said a Hail Mary, or he said a rosary afterwards, just on Thanksgiving. I was like, dude, I mean, I didn't do anything. All this is just God acting through me. So, I mean, yeah, it's a really cool experience.
Great. So you were able to tap into that experience because you saw your number, your favorite number,
Yeah.
22, you had gotten some kind of prompting that you recognized, and then you acted on that, and that led you to that moment.
Exactly.
That's great.
Even if they kind of seem silly, I still acted, yeah.
Very good. As you said, you kind of acted in courage, and sometimes we have to do that, even if it doesn't seem to make sense.
Yeah, even if, I mean, there's always that doubt. There's always the doubt of like, am I just making this up? Is this just a thought of my own, or is this a thought God's putting in my head? And I'm sure all of us have those thoughts that go throughout the day that God puts in our head, you know, to just guide us through the day. I'm sure it happens all the time. Some of us probably don't realize it. Majority of us probably don't realize it. That's something I'm really trying to pray and develop, is to see God's guidance. Because, I mean, He loves us all. He wants to have a really close relationship with us all. So I try to do that.
Indeed. So what do you say to someone when they might get a prompting like you described? How do you help someone understand that that's God speaking to them and not just some random thought or something that they would just ignore?
Okay, so I kind of want to do something a little crazy. Okay, so let's both close our eyes.
Okay.
Okay, and just say your full name in your head. And then you hear that voice that's in there. That voice that you hear, you can open your eyes.
Okay.
But that voice that you heard, that's the same voice that God puts in our head. So it really does take some discernment of, you know, is this me or is this God? And that's something that I had a friend show me. He actually did that exercise with me. So it's very difficult at times, but then once you start realizing it, and once you start, you know, where did that come from? Or like, that's not really what I was thinking of. Or even when you're just reflecting in a prayerful state. You know, you'll get those thoughts that just drop in your head. Sometimes I saw them as distractions. Like, oh no, I'm supposed to be focused, you know, on this one thing that I think I'm supposed to be focused on. And then God will be putting something else, some guidance into your thoughts. And that's really a daily thing that we can all do, is just kind of focus on those thoughts and focus on, you know, what He's wanting us to think about, because it'll lead to further actions, you know.
Do you ever find that in our day and age there's a lot of noise around us?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So how do we hear that voice amongst all the other noise?
What I would encourage somebody to do is just practice it, and practice what I try to do. Instead of telling God, like, hey, I want this to be the thing that reminds me of you, say, hey God, like, during these busy times, during my work day, during this and that, like, whatever sign you can give me to remind me of you, just please give it to me and let it be known. Maybe it's a bird. Whenever you like focus in on a bird lands on your window, you're like, oh, thank you God, like I know you're here right now. Just as a reminder throughout the day. So what I would say is, through all the noise, you can always hear God's voice. You just have to ask Him to let you realize what His voice sounds like, because it's not always audible. It's never really audible. There's few of us that get that blessing. But yeah,
It's
just
more
to
of a
ask for it.
feeling
Yeah, I mean, all the time,
sensation.
it really is a feeling.
Okay.
Because you'll get that outward sign, and then that inward sign will be reflected in there. You know, there's times where I'm trying to make a decision, and I'll see my numbers, and then I'll be like, you know what? Maybe this isn't the right decision, but that heart feeling isn't there. So I'm like, let me just pray on it, and it ends up being the right decision. So I mean, you can't always rely on the bird to land on your window.
Right, very true.
but yeah, it really is a feeling. So.
And even if the bird doesn't arrive, or you
Exactly.
don't see the number, God is still there.
Yeah.
But maybe
Agreed.
we're just not hearing Him, or He's just not speaking.
Yeah, and I mean,
at that time.
we can't be the puppet masters, right? Like, we can't say, hey bird, be on my window right now because I want to spend time with God. You know, we just have to, when He gives us that mercy and gives us that grace, it comes, and we just have to rejoice in it. So yeah.
Sure, that's very good. Well, I know that all of us could practice that a little bit more, and you know, maybe at the very least, at the end of a day, maybe someone could spend some time just thinking back on the day and looking for those God moments to see if they've maybe missed it or didn't act on it, or maybe it was there and they didn't recognize it. Maybe that would be a way to also practice listening.
And then they're like, aha, look at what he did today. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
So.
And we still can thank Him.
It's very true.
For His presence and being present in our everyday life.
No, even if we don't see it. And one thing that really helps me on seeing God daily, even when I'm not seeing Him as this outward sign or this inward feeling, it'll be just recognizing that He has His hand on everything. So that red light turned red, and He knows it turned red, and everything's going to be perfectly fine. Just on the mundane, everyday things, just to know He's there. You know, just my little signs that I try to see God throughout the day, I know that He puts them there sometimes on purpose at the right second, at the right time, and it just reassures me, and I think anybody else who seeks this type of, reassurance of God's presence throughout the day, that He has His hand on everything, which is so reassuring. You can just kick back and be at peace.
What a great place to be then.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, all through grace, all through grace.
Thank you, Peter.
Oh,
Thank
no
you for
problem.
sharing
No problem
your
at all.
experiences and
Very,
helping
very
us
happy.
open our eyes to that.
Yeah, very happy to. Thank you.
Thank you.